there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks. This is Mick Jeffrey from Aversions Crown, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today it's an honor and a huge privilege to have Mr. Mick Jeffrey of Aversions Crown. Aversions Crown will release their fourth studio album, Hell Will Come For Us All, on June 12th via Nuclear Blast Records. Also, check out Aversions Crown new single, The Soil. So we'll be talking to Mick about all this good stuff. So, Mick, how's it going, man?
Going good, man. Just, it's morning over here in Australia.
Oh, already morning over there. So how's it look over there so far?
Yeah, it's good. It's another nice sunny day on the Gold Coast where I live. So, yeah, pretty lucky to be here at the moment, I think.
So let's jump right into this, man. How's it been working with Nuclear Blast for you guys?
Yeah, they've been awesome. They've been really supportive of the band and everything we've wanted to do over the last couple of releases we've done with them. So the first release we did with them was Tyrant back in 2014. Then we did Xenocide, and now we're doing our third release with them, which will be Hell Will Come For Us All. And, yeah, great bunch of crew as well. Not only are they supportive of the band, they all come and hang out when we're in town, either in the States or Europe, or wherever we are. And, yeah, it's a really cool team who just love metal.
For a young band out there that's looking to get on with a label, how important is it, especially for you guys, to have that interaction like you have with Nuclear Blast? Because not only you guys, but others have talked about how awesome it is to be with Nuclear Blast, the cohesiveness that the band and the record label has. They support one another, and that's a very rare oddity these days.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's in a world that's sort of just driven by, money. It's such it's so refreshing to have people that are actually just passionate about music and what you're doing. And you can just tell that everyone that works in that label just, they come to gigs, they love the music and they just love being part of everything.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making the new album, Hell Will Come For Us All, if anything? What sticks out the most about it for you, Mick?
I mean, the whole process was actually really enjoyable. Sometimes studio process can be a bit tedious, but this time was a lot of fun. We got in, especially tracking guitars with myself and Chris. It was just felt, just fun and effortless to get in there and track these songs. But I think the most exciting part for me was when we started hearing back the first mixes with our new vocalist, Tyler Miller's vocals on the tracks, because, we kind of knew what he was going to be doing from the pre-production demos we'd done, but hearing back the final mixes and stuff, that was just, for us, was such a cool feeling to hear that different, voice over our music.
And we're going to get into talking about Mr. Miller here in just a little bit, because he's done a hell of a job on this album, and I'm not saying it just because you're on here, but his vocals on this is pretty fucking amazing. I mean, they rip, and that's in a good way.
Yeah, definitely.
How long did it take to write and complete the album?
It was sort of we sort of started writing early on, even after we just released Xenocide and we were on tour. We never really stopped writing music. There's always song ideas getting churned out. Not all of them get used, but we end up writing a whole bunch of material. So when it comes down to album time, we have a whole heap of stuff to sort of select from and pick the strongest material. So it was musically written over a couple of years while we were on tour. And we kind of would take on board crowd reactions from other songs that we were playing and seeing what things translated well to the live situation. And then we tried to incorporate that into the writing for the latest album. But the vocals, Tyler was kind of, he was sort of thrown in the deep end with the writing and recording of it. He didn't have a huge amount of time, but he did such a great job considering all factors.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on the album? I know it must change every time you listen to it or every time you talk about it. I know these are your babies, but do you have any that stick out for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it does change all the time. You do hear the songs so much, first during the recording process and then again during the mix, you're just hearing slightly edited versions of the same songs over and over. So you kind of do chop and change which ones are your favourite at the time, because you'll kind of favour one and you'll listen to it a bit too much, and then you'll hear something different in one of the other tracks that you'll just get back into. But I think right now there's a song towards the end of the album called Sorrow Never Sleeps, which was one that we weren't too sure if it was going to sort of work out and be good enough to be on the record. But once we heard it back with the vocals that Tyler had put over the top, and it just kind of had a totally different feel to anything on the rest of the album, but also anything the band had ever done before. And I think it's a bit of a standout track on the record. So
are there any tracks that didn't make this album we could see down the road on an EP or another album from you guys, maybe?
Yeah, we'll definitely be releasing more stuff down the track, whether it's an EP or an album. But like I said, there's always songs being written, and that hasn't stopped even now. We've been home from tour without anything lined up to do. So there's, songs being worked on, and there's always stuff happening.
Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs? Which one would be the first single you wanted to release for the album?
We kind of had 3 songs that we thought would be good singles. We didn't necessarily think about which order they would be released in, but we did have 3 songs picked that we kind of all thought had something different to offer. None of them necessarily represent the album as a whole, but we think that they're kind of unique songs for us and, within the album. So we kind of selected the 3 songs that we wanted to do as the singles, and we're actually releasing the second one of them today. So, might be tomorrow for you, 8th of May. So, we're excited about getting that one out and seeing the reaction to that. But, we just kind of had the 3 singles, and, the label kind of helped us decide which ones should be released first, and management and all that kind of stuff. And, we're really stoked with the response so far.
Now, we all know you have a new vocalist, Tyler Miller. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee, here in the States, man. What has he brought to this band that may have been missing, possibly?
He brings a lot of things to the band, really. I guess he brings a really mature approach to songwriting, which is something that we have been trying to, push towards for the last couple of years. And he has a really good sense of, just song structure and vocal hooks and melodies and that kind of stuff which is the kind of direction we were hoping to go with this record. And so that was really refreshing to have his input on some of the songs as well. But also he just brings a great energy to the band. He's got a lot of sort of aggression in his vocals, which is, it's aggressive music, and we really wanted to bring that forward into the sound as well as the stage performance of what we're doing in the future.
That was going to be my next question, since he's just joining the band and this is the first album he's on vocally. How much input did he have on the album as far as lyrics and things like that?
Yeah, look, he wrote the whole album lyrically. We kind of demoed a few songs with him early on to see what he would come up with and if it was going to work with the music. And, we were really stoked sort of off the bat with what he was coming up with, and we were able to kind of give him some feedback on things that we thought worked really well and maybe things that didn't work so well. And he took that on board and kept sort of striving to improve his performance and what he was working on for the record. And, he ended up coming up with a great-sounding vocal performance across the whole album.
All right, Mick, I know you guys are writing new songs all the time, but does it challenge or push you guys to come up with something new and stay fresh with your music? Are you guys always wanting to push outside that bubble?
Yeah, I think sort of more than ever we're feeling that now. We've been around for a while now. This is our 4th release, which is about to come out, and it feels really fresh to us, this album. We've kind of previously been exclusively singing about alien and sci-fi themes and that kind of stuff. But this time we wanted to expand our lyrics and themes and imagery, and we were able to explore that with Tyler, which was awesome. And he brought some really cool ideas to the table, and we look forward to sort of pushing some more boundaries with the future stuff we're working on too.
Yeah, let's do some paranormal stuff, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You guys produced this album, and the engineering was handled by Matt Shorter at Heliport Studios. The album was mixed and mastered by Will Putney at Graphic Nature Audio. The first question with this, do you guys like having that freedom to do it yourself? Is this something that you guys like to do? I know this is your fourth album, but is this going to be the standard quo from you guys possibly?
Not necessarily. It just kind of worked out that way, that we sort of self-produced it. We had the songs pretty well written, and we were really stoked with all the formulas and stuff we had worked out for it. Obviously, things always change a little bit once you actually get in the studio, but I think it was really cool seeing the input, especially with Tyler when he was in the studio at Will's studio tracking the vocals, and he was given some really cool input. So we've now sort of realised, oh, cool, it would be maybe something worth exploring, having a producer be a part of the next one just to get some different ideas, and, maybe we'd get inspired by some ideas that they have as well. So it's definitely not something that we will be strictly sticking to, but who knows?
So how was working with Matt Shorter and Will Putney on this? How was working with those guys?
Working with them they were both actually really great to work with. I've worked with Matt before in the past on previous projects with other bands and stuff, and he's really sort of meticulous with the way he tracks everything, which is great. He really pushes you to get the best takes out of your performance. If something's not quite good enough, he'll just make you keep going over it and over it until it's perfect, which is great. There's nothing worse than coming out of a recording session and feeling like you could have done a better take of something. But with Matt, I've never felt like that. I've always felt like he's pushed the best out of everyone. And then Will was awesome to work with. He had a lot of great input, even from the start when he wasn't physically present. He would be Skyping us while we were setting up mics and stuff for the drums, getting guitar tones and string gauges, all that kind of stuff, so that when the product was in his lap, he had everything he wanted in place to be able to mix it as best he could.
I never say this guy's name correct, and he's done a lot of covers here lately. Artwork. Ellerin Cantor did the artwork for this album. Right. Plus, he did Testament, and my mind's going blank, but he's done several great covers here for the art for these albums. So, how was working with him on this?
Yeah, he's done a lot of really cool stuff. So for this album, we wanted to do something a little different to what we'd been doing on the previous records. They all had more of a digital artwork kind of feel, which really suited those albums, I think. But this time we wanted something a bit different. We wanted a more organic, I guess, a painting kind of a feel, and a bit more of a classic death metal album cover. And the stuff he'd been doing for other bands was awesome, but we thought we could sort of offer him a different sort of concept and something that would stand out from the other work he'd been working on. And that's what, he came up with, was such a cool piece for us. And we gave him a bit of a concept and some lyrics and ideas like that to work off. And then he started sending back some rough sketches with the composition of it, and it looked so cool instantly. And we were so stoked with the final product.
Do you see this band still musically growing from where it started and from album to album when you look back on it now?
For sure. I think, especially if you sort of listen back to things off each album, and you always sort of hear, once an album's out and you've toured it for a while, you sort of think, okay, well, maybe we could have done this, and you incorporate that into the next one. So I think we've always grown musically from each release, and I think the band is kind of becoming more polished sounding in general, but definitely the songwriting is improving, and we've kind of learned, about incorporating things that hook the listener in and all that kind of stuff, which earlier on in the piece, it was more about just being fast and technical and brutal, and we still love doing all that stuff, but now we also we want this to be musical, and we want things that stick in people's heads and people can kind of sing along to and all that kind of stuff as well.
What do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear while listening to any of Aversions Crown music in general, Mick? What do you hope they get from it?
I mean, I guess the main thing is we want them to feel the energy of the music. It's always been pretty energetic, aggressive music, and that's the feeling I get when I perform it. So I hope people sort of get that feeling from listening to it as well, and it kind of revs you up and makes you want to get in the pit at the show and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that's the main thing I'd like for people to get from the music.
What made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you that said, yeah, that's what I want to do right there, or maybe possibly even try?
It's something I've always enjoyed. Since I was a kid, I always sort of played music. I was, started playing piano and played in the brass band at school and all that kind of stuff. And I think, there was moments even in school bands when I just kind of, you'd sort of go home and learn your parts for songs, and then you'd come into the rehearsal and there's this whole band and everyone's playing different parts and it all comes together. And I remember just getting sort of goosebumps hearing it all come together and thought, wow, imagine, being able to do this all the time. And then all of a sudden I started picking up guitar when I was getting into metal music and that sort of stuff. And I always thought, wow, it'd be so cool to be in a band where you can, all sort of play your parts together and perform it. And I just kind of got hooked on it instantly, and just haven't really stopped since.
So these 4 albums that are out, well, technically the 4th one getting ready to come out here very shortly, creating a set list, is there any songs that you want to incorporate into a set list possibly that's not been played live as of yet, if any, maybe?
So you mean sort of a live set list for when we can perform again?
Well, I mean, are there any songs that you want to incorporate into the set list that's not been played live before by you guys?
Well, I think off this album, obviously the only song we've played live is The Soil, which we played live once. But there's definitely a few songs I'm really looking forward to playing live off this one. I think the song Born in the Gutter is such an angry, fast song, and I think it'll be really good live. And also the title track of the album, Hell Will Come For Us All, it's got a really heavy, dark vibe behind it, and I think that'll translate really well to the live setting. But I think even off the previous album, there's a couple we still haven't even played live yet, which would be cool to do. One called Cycles of Harrispex I always thought would be cool to play at a big festival. It's a bit more of a slow headbangy kind of song. But we always try and change up the set list every tour and add in songs we haven't done before or haven't played for a long time and all that kind of stuff. So we always try and keep it fresh and change it up.
Since almost everyone is in quarantine from the coronavirus and everybody's finally getting to get back out just a little bit, do you think concerts and festivals will have the same impact as before with sales and attendance, or do you think this has hurt it in the long run after we get back to so-called normalcy, if possibly?
Yeah, it's hard to predict because I think it could go either way. It could either hurt it where every band in the world is all of a sudden, okay, we can all go on tour, and every band on the planet basically just goes on tour at the same time, which would just mean the market is so saturated and there'd be so much going on and people wouldn't be able to decide what to go and watch, and there'd be multiple shows on every day, or so that could really kind of hurt it, because then all the bands finally being able to go back on tour, the attendance is down, the merch sales are down, and they kind of lose this, I guess, the passion for it. But it could work the other way too, if the timing sort of works out and all of a sudden all these people who have lost the ability to go and watch live music, they're giving it back, and all of a sudden you don't take it for granted anymore, the fact that you can go and watch festivals and gigs, and you really want to support it, and because you just don't know when it could be taken away again, and it could actually end up being a really positive thing. So it's hard to predict, I guess.
I'm like you. I agree with you on both sides of this, but I kind of see it going to where, like you said, if it's oversaturated, then that's not going to be great. That's going to be bad. And I think that if it was just not oversaturated, I think it would be off the charts. That's just my opinion. But, we'll see when this goes full force. And I think we're going to have a different lifestyle once we're getting back to normalcy. And that's just, that's my opinion. I don't know how it is over there right now in Australia, but they're slowly just now starting to do things in steps to open up things over here in the U.S. And it's scary, man. I mean, it's really scary because we don't know if we open this up, are we going to go a month or so, then right back into quarantine? You know what I'm saying? It's just very, very scary.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty scary everywhere. I think Australia is pretty fortunate. We haven't been hit as hard as so many other places. So we've, I guess we kind of locked everything down pretty quick, and I guess that must have sort of worked to some degree. But we are starting to open things up again now, sort of in the last week or two. And it'll be interesting to see if there are more spikes in cases and all that kind of stuff, or if it kind of has done its job, the lockdown, the quarantine, and they are able to contain any sort of outbreaks now and got, the steps in place to contain anything. But, yeah, I think the world may never go back to being the way it was now. It might change things forever. I've been reading things that, now they may never allow things like buffets at restaurants and stuff like that, which, it's not the end of the world, but there's just things that we've always had that we may never have again. And, yeah, so things I think may never go back to the way they were.
So what about the streaming side of this? Have you guys took advantage of that to get your music out and just do a little bit of teasers, acoustic stuff, or anything maybe lately?
I mean, it's kind of tricky with us having our singer in Knoxville and the rest of us live in Australia. We can't all kind of just get together, which we didn't really see being an issue because the way the band has worked the last few years, we kind of all just work on stuff separately over the internet and then get together for the tours and all that kind of stuff. But obviously when something like this happens and it changes everything, it just kind of limits what you can and can't do. So, yeah, we've been, still working on other things and figuring out what we can achieve during, the current circumstances. But, there's definitely things that you can't do without physically being in the same room as one another.
Is there a country that stands out or shocks you that Aversions Crown gets support from possibly?
Always, for some reason, every time we play in Hungary, we play in Budapest, and the shows are generally always sold out or just completely packed. And I don't know why that is, but it's awesome. Like, there's certain countries around Europe where we've always done well, but that's one that always just stands out to me. We get there and we always think, I wonder how this is going to be. And it's always just such a cool show. And that country has just always supported the band since day one. And we love going back there.
Now, I know you had a lot of music growing up and a lot of albums and things like that you liked. But did you have a go-to album or song when you were younger that just let you escape or maybe let you think things were going to be okay and put you in a better perspective?
I mean, there wasn't any one specific song, but I guess it was always Metallica I would always go back to when I was younger. Any of their stuff, I was always just a huge fan, and that was kind of the music I would sort of always retreat back to when I needed something like that. And, yeah, and they've always just been one of those bands I really connected with.
All right, folks, Aversions Crown will release their fourth studio album, Hell Will Come For Us All, on June 12th via Nuclear Blast Records. I would suggest everybody to get out, support this band, buy some merchandise, all that good stuff. So, Mick, how can folks stay in touch with you guys, buy some merchandise, tour dates, all this stuff when, we get back to normalcy? How can they do that, man?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. But if you want to support the band at the moment and pre-order the new album, especially in America, we have some cool pre-order bundles through Indie Merch. So if you check out the Indie Merch website, and we've also got a whole heap of merch online that we printed for our North American tour, which was unfortunately cancelled. So we pressed enough merch for a tour and had to fly home after one day. So we've put all of that merch up online as well. So if people want to jump on there and pick up a shirt or a hoodie or something like that, that'd be a huge help to us too.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Of course, man. This is Mick Jeffrey from Aversions Crown, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and BODS Mayhem Hour podcast. Please get out, check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast links, our YouTube link, everything that we're on Spotify. We're on Podbean. We're on Apple Podcasts. We are all over the place for all the stuff that we do. And also, please get out and support Aversions Crown. You will not be disappointed. And I also would like to say thank you to the essential workers, especially the doctors, nurses, first responders, everybody that have put their lives on the line to help each and every single person that's came into contact with them, because we're all in this together. I'm not saying that just because everybody else is saying it, but it's the truth. We just need to chill the fuck out and just get along and help each other and just get through this and get back to some normalcy, and we will all be okay. Mick, I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, and you're welcome on here anytime you guys want to.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much for having me, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.